My husband secretly married my stepsister. I found out from a photo my mother-in-law posted on Instagram. The next day, I quietly sold our $15 million house and made him scream hysterically when he came back. Hello everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Before I begin my story, I'd love to know which city you're joining us from. Please feel free to share in the comments. Now, let me take you into this story. They thought I was a fool. That's what hurts the most, looking back. They thought I was so buried in my work, so blinded by my love for him, that I wouldn't see what was happening right under my own roof. My husband, Russell, and his entire family, led by his mother, conspired to marry him to my own stepsister, Kendra. They did it while I was working myself to the bone, paying for the very roof over their heads. They didn't know that as they were celebrating their secret, twisted little wedding, I was in a lawyer's office, signing the sales contract for the $15 million mansion they all lived in. When Russell finally came home, expecting to find his meek, forgiving wife, he screamed. He screamed hysterically in front of the locked gates. He was shocked to discover that his luxurious life had been sold right out from under him. And the real wedding gift I had prepared, well, that was just about to begin. My story starts on a Tuesday. The Los Angeles sky was fading from that bright, smoggy orange into a deep, bruised purple. It was late. It was always late. I was at my desk, the last one in the office, as usual. I'd just hit send on the final design specs for the Hollister building project. It was the biggest client of the year, and it was finally done. A wave of pure, unadulterated relief washed over my back. I leaned back in my ergonomic chair, the one I'd splurged on, and massaged my temples. The headache behind my eyes had been a dull throb since noon. I glanced at the clock. 8:17 p.m. I had been at this desk, running on stale coffee and a half-eaten protein bar, since 8 a.m. The rest of the office, usually buzzing with the sound of creative people arguing over fonts and fabric swatches, was dead silent. Only Valerie, my junior assistant, was left, packing up her bag. "Don't forget to set the alarm, Valerie," I said, my voice hoarse. "I won't, Mrs. Preston," she said, giving me that look. That I'm 25 and you're still here look, a mix of pity and awe. "You should go home. Don't you have a husband?" I forced a smile. "He's on a business trip. Seattle. I'll head out soon." She nodded and left. The click of the heavy glass door echoed in the silence. I was alone. Just the way they liked it, I suppose. I picked up my cell phone, my thumb automatically going to my text messages. Russell. I'd sent him a message that morning. "Hey darling. Hope the meetings in Seattle are going well. The presentation for the Hollister project is today. Wish me luck. Can't wait for you to be home. Love you." I stared at the 2 gray ticks under the message. He hadn't even read it. Not even blue ticks. My heart did a familiar little dip. He's just busy, I told myself. Client meetings in Seattle must be intense. He's the director of operations. It's a big job. A big job I created for him, in my company, but that's a whole other story. He'd been gone for 3 days. The house, our $15 million house in the hills, felt cavernous and empty without him. Even though I was the one paying the mortgage, paying for his sports car, paying his ridiculous golf club membership, I still missed him. I missed the man I married 5 years ago. I missed his laugh, the way he'd pull me away from my computer and force me to dance in the kitchen. Where had that man gone? Before packing up, I did something I rarely do. I opened Instagram. Just a mindless scroll to numb my brain before the drive home. A post from an old college friend. An ad for a standing desk. A recipe video for salmon. And then I stopped. My thumb froze on the screen. The photo had been posted by my mother-in-law, Evelyn Albright. My heart began to beat a little faster, a heavy, sick thud. It was a wedding photo. There was my husband, Russell, standing tall in a crisp ivory tuxedo. And beside him, grinning from ear to ear, was a face I knew better than my own. Kendra. My stepsister. Kendra, wearing a matching ivory wedding dress. A veil. Heavy makeup. They were holding a small book, like they were reading vows. But the most shocking part was the people around them. Evelyn Albright was standing right next to Russell, her hand on his arm, beaming with a pride I hadn't seen from her in years. Russell's sister was there, his aunts, his uncles. All of them. All of them smiling. Posing in a garden decorated with white roses. My hands started to tremble. This had to be a mistake. A joke. Maybe it was an old photo? But that dress. I'd seen that dress. My blood ran cold. I'd bought Kendra that dress. Not as a wedding dress, no. I'd bought it for her last birthday. A simple, elegant ivory gown from a designer she loved. She'd cried when I gave it to her, said I was the only one who ever understood her. It was a wedding dress now. I read the caption. Evelyn Albright's words. Short, simple, and a slap in the face. My dear son, Russell, may you be happy forever with our Kendra. You finally took the plunge. Finally. That one word. It implied a long time. It implied this wasn't sudden. This wasn't an elopement. This was the end of a process. A process I was clearly not a part of. My world just stopped. The air in my climate-controlled office felt thick, suffocating. I couldn't breathe. The sound of the server humming in the corner was suddenly deafening. Finally took the plunge. With a finger that felt like it was carved from ice, I zoomed in. There was no doubt. That was Russell. My husband. The man I'd driven to the airport 3 days ago. The man who'd kissed me and said, I'll miss you, babe. Close this deal for me. The man who was supposedly in Seattle. I saw his smile. A genuine, happy smile. A smile I hadn't seen directed at me in a very, very long time. And then I saw the comments. Oh, God, the comments. They cut deeper than the photo. Congrats, Russell. Kendra is finally part of the family, for real this time, his sister wrote. Oh, Evelyn, you finally have a new daughter-in-law who will give you grandchildren. Congratulations on the wedding, bro. Let's hear some baby news soon, a cousin added. They all knew. His entire family knew. They had all attended. They had all blessed this thing. They were all part of this lie. I felt the protein bar rise in my throat. While I was working myself into an early grave to pay the mortgage on our luxurious Bel Air home, to pay the installments on Russell's car, to give Evelyn Albright a monthly allowance that was more than most people's salary, they were planning his second wedding. A secret wedding. Of course, Russell wouldn't dare ask me for a divorce. He wouldn't dare ask me for permission. Because he knew. He knew that almost all of our main assets were in my name. The house, the $15 million estate, had been purchased with a massive bonus I received before we were even married. The deed was in my maiden name, Meredith Vance. It was a condition my father, a very smart man, had insisted on. My lawyer, Mr. Vance, no relation, just a coincidence, had structured it. Russell had been furious at the time. Don't you trust me, Meredith? He'd pouted. I'd caved, slightly. I'd agreed to put the brand new luxury sports car he wanted in his name, paid for by me, of course. A little toy to soothe his ego. Now, all my kindness, all my love, it all just looked like stupidity. I wasn't just betrayed by my husband. I was betrayed by my stepsister. Kendra. My father married her mother when I was 15. She was 10. She'd always been the troubled one. Always jealous, always in my shadow. I thought I was being the good older sister by taking her in, giving her a job at my company, letting her live in our guest house. I thought I was helping her. I was just giving the viper a warm place to sleep. The pain was a physical thing, a sharp, cold spike in my chest. But strangely, there were no tears. Just cold. A glacial coldness that started in my stomach and spread outwards, turning my rage to ice. I closed the Instagram app. I didn't need to see any more. I didn't need to call him. The photos and comments were all the confirmation I needed. I took a long, shaky breath, trying to calm my trembling hands. I looked at my computer screen. The project complete email. My career was perfect. My home was a pile of rubble. I would not let this drag me down. I was not going to be the weak woman who cries in a corner. I had worked too hard. I had built an empire. They wanted to celebrate a betrayal? Fine. I would give them something to really cry about. I stood up. My chair squeaked in the silence. I would act now. With firm, mechanical movements, I gathered my purse, my laptop, my notebook. Valerie, who had apparently forgotten something and was peeking back in, looked at me with wide eyes. "Mrs. Preston? Are you okay? You look terrible." I turned, trying to force a smile. It felt like my face was cracking. "I'm fine, Valerie. Just tired. I'm heading out." I left the office. My steps were decisive. In the elevator, descending to the basement garage, my mind was racing. I wasn't thinking about my broken heart. I was thinking about logistics. My logic, the cold, hard logic I used to design buildings, was now working at full speed to dismantle a life. In my car, parked in the cold concrete garage, I didn't start the engine. I just sat in the stillness. I needed one more piece. Not a photo. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear her voice. My thumb, no longer shaking, found Evelyn Albright's contact. I pressed the call button. It rang 3 times. And then, her voice, cheerful and triumphant. "Well, what's this?" "Meredith, dear? Working late again, I see. You really should learn to relax, like Kendra does." The knife. She just kept twisting it. My voice was flat. Cold. Unemotional. "Hello, Evelyn. Where are you?" It sounds loud. I could hear music in the background. Laughter. A small laugh came from her end. A laugh I used to think was affectionate. Now it just sounded like a crow's cackle. "Oh, this? We're just at a little family gathering. A celebration." "A celebration?" I repeated. "Russell and Kendra's wedding." The line went silent. Just for a second. I could practically hear the gears turning in her head. But then, her tone changed. The fake sweetness was gone. All that was left was cynical contempt. "Wow. You saw our Instagram? Well, this is better, isn't it? I thought you were so busy with your work you didn't have time for social media. This saves me the trouble of having to explain." My chest tightened. "Explain what, Evelyn? Why? How could you all do this? Do this to you?" She laughed again, louder this time. "You're the one who did this to us, Meredith. What have you given my son in 5 years? You can't even have children. You haven't been able to give this family a grandchild. Russell is my only son. He needs an heir. He has to carry on the lineage. We never even tried, we never even went to a doctor." I whispered. Russell had always put it off. "We're not ready, babe," he'd say. "Let's just enjoy being rich." "Talk to you?" "For what?" she snapped. "You would never have allowed it. You are a selfish, cold career woman. You value your spreadsheets more than your husband. Look at Kendra. She is good wife material. And most importantly, she is fertile. She is already 2 months pregnant with Russell's baby." 2 months pregnant. The words just hung in the air. The air in my car. My expensive, luxury car that I paid for. "I told my son," she continued, her voice filled with venom, "it was better to marry them than to let them keep sinning. It's legal, right? You're an educated woman, Meredith. You should understand. You should be willing to support your husband's happiness." 2 months. That meant this affair, this entire plan, had been going on for months. Maybe years. His business trips. His late nights. All lies. And his mother not only knew, she planned it. "So you planned it all?" I asked. My voice was barely a whisper. "Of course," Evelyn replied, her voice dripping with pride. "I found Kendra for him. A woman who knows her duties. Who serves her husband and gives him children. Not a woman who only knows how to make money. Just give up, Meredith. Accept your fate. Don't be an obstacle. If you accept this meekly, you will be blessed." Click. She hung up on me. I stared at the dark screen of my phone. Silence. No tears. My anger had burned right through the pain. I was an idiot. A complete and utter idiot. All this time, I had respected this woman. I sent her money. I bought her gifts. And this was my reward. I was a money-making machine who couldn't have children. Fine, I told myself. You all supported him. You celebrated over my pain. My head was spinning, but then it came into sharp focus. The assets. That's what they were after. They thought I would just quietly accept this, that I would be the good wife and continue to fund their entire lifestyle. They were so wrong. I changed contacts on my phone. This time, I called my personal lawyer, Mr. Vance. A sharp, no-nonsense man in his 60s who handled all my contracts and assets. The phone rang. He picked up on the second ring. His voice was gravelly, like I'd woken him up. "Meredith? It's past midnight. Is everything okay?" "No, Mr. Vance," I said, my voice firm and clear. "Nothing is okay. I need your help. Immediately. Tonight." "What's happened?" he asked, suddenly all business. "I need to sell my house. The one on Acacia Lane. Number 1. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. "Meredith, that's the $15 million estate. Why so suddenly? Is there a problem?" "There is a very urgent problem," I said. "I need to sell it tonight. Or at the latest, tomorrow morning. I don't care if the price drops slightly. I just want it sold. And the money, Mr. Vance. The money needs to go into a new personal account. One that is not linked to any joint accounts I have." Mr. Vance was a professional. He didn't ask any more personal questions. He heard the urgency in my voice. "Coincidentally," he said, "one of my other clients, a real estate investor named Mr. Harrison, has been after a house in that area for months. He made an offer on yours 6 months ago, but you rejected it. I'm almost certain he still wants it. He loves quick, all-cash transactions." "Perfect," I said. "Call him. Now. Please take care of all the procedures. If my signature is needed, I will come to your office right now." I'll handle it, Meredith. I'll get my team on it. All the documents are in my office vault. 100% in your name, Meredith Vance. Good, I said. And one more thing, counselor. Yes. Prepare the divorce papers for my husband, Russell Preston. I want the toughest, most brutal terms possible. Asset division, alimony, hit him with everything. But don't file them. Not yet. Wait for my instructions. Understood, Meredith, he said. I will prepare everything. Drive carefully. You sound shaken. I'm not shaken, Mr. Vance, I said, and I meant it. I'm awake. I hung up. I started the car. The engine purred to life. I did not drive to that $15 million house. It wasn't my home anymore. It was just an asset. An asset that needed to be liquidated. I would go to a hotel. I would wait for the money. And I would plan my next step. I stepped on the accelerator, my car speeding through the empty LA streets. If they wanted a wedding party, I would give them a wedding gift they would never, ever forget. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. The thought of sleeping in that bed, walking on those floors, it made my skin crawl. I drove straight to a 5-star hotel in downtown LA, not far from Mr. Vance's office. I used my personal credit card, the one Russell never knew about, and booked a suite for 3 days. I checked in using my maiden name. Meredith Vance. It felt good. It felt right. After dropping my purse and laptop in the sterile, beige room, I didn't rest. I went straight to Mr. Vance's office. He'd agreed to meet me, even though it was nearly 1 a.m. His office was high up, overlooking the city lights. He looked at me with worried, but professional, eyes. He was holding a cup of black coffee, and he had one waiting for me. Meredith, he said, his voice calm. Are you sure about this? This is a big move. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, I said. I didn't tell him about Kendra. I didn't tell him about the baby. I didn't need to. He just needed to know I was serious. He pushed a document across his mahogany desk. This is a power of sale, Meredith. With this, I can proceed with the negotiations with Mr. Harrison tomorrow morning. I've already sent him a text. He's an early riser. He's very interested and agreed to meet at 10 a.m. He doesn't like to waste time. Good, I said, my voice curt. I took the pen and signed my name. My hand was perfectly steady. Process it as quickly as possible. I want the transaction closed by tomorrow afternoon. I will do everything I can, Meredith, he said. Tomorrow morning, I will also have a new bank account ready in your name, completely separate from any other accounts. The draft of the divorce petition is already being prepared by my team. We can discuss the details later. Thank you, Mr. Vance, I said. I stood up. I need to stop by the house for a moment. There are some important documents I must collect myself. Would you like me to accompany you? Or send someone from security, he offered. I shook my head. It's not necessary. I can do it alone. The house is still in my name. Legally, I have every right. After leaving his office, I drove to Acacia Lane. The house. My house. The imposing $15 million mansion stood silent under the moonlight. It looked beautiful, but it felt cold. Alien. This would be the last time I ever came here. I parked my car in the garage, next to Russell's luxury sports car. His car. I let out a cynical laugh. I was the one who bought it. I used my spare key to get in. The house was dark. The house cleaner had already left. I didn't turn on the main lights. Using just the flashlight on my phone, I walked through the grand foyer, past the sweeping staircase he'd been so proud of. I went directly to the study. This room was my domain. The one place he rarely entered. It was where I worked late, earning the money that he and his family so happily spent. Behind a large, abstract painting, a piece I'd bought in college with my first paycheck, was a wall safe. Russell knew the safe was there. But he didn't know the combination. He thought the combination was our wedding anniversary. What a joke! I had changed it 6 months ago. I changed it after Russell came to me with another one of his brilliant business ideas. He wanted to borrow the house deed to use as collateral for some new tech startup. I saw right through it. I knew he just wanted money for, well, now I knew. He wanted it for Kendra. I'd told him the bank wouldn't allow it. And that night, I changed the combo. I changed it to my late mother's birthday. I entered the numbers. The safe opened with a soft, satisfying click. Inside, everything was neat. This was the real fruit of my labor. I began to take them out, one by one. First, the deed to this property. I opened it. Owner, Meredith Vance. A single name. Thank God for my father's advice. Never mix large assets with blind love, honey. Second, the car documentation. My luxury sedan, in my name. The family SUV, which Evelyn Albright often borrowed when she visited, also in my name. And then, the documentation for Russell's sports car. I smiled. He was so proud of that car. He showed it off to all his friends. But I was smart. The car was purchased in the name of my company, Vance Designs, as a company vehicle. Russell was just provided the convenience of using it. The title was safely in my hands. Third, the deeds to 2 commercial properties in a new business district. Purely my investments. Both in my name. Fourth, a folder with my stock and fund portfolio. All personal accounts opened long before I ever met Russell. I did a quick calculation. Russell's salary, the one I paid him, wasn't small. But it was nothing compared to my income. His salary was spent on his lifestyle. His golf hobby, treating his friends, and, of course, the monthly allowance to his mother and his sister. I figured 90% of the wealth we shared was purely from my sweat. Legally, almost all of it was mine. He was too lazy, too arrogant, to ever worry about boring administrative details. He just wanted to use, enjoy, and show off. I was about to close the safe, but a blue folder in the back caught my eye. It wasn't one of mine. I'd never seen it before. My hand reached out and pulled it out. There was no label. I opened it. And my heart stopped. It was a life insurance policy. I read it slowly. My blood turning to ice. Insured, Meredith Vance Preston. Sum, $10 million. Policy issue date, 3 months ago. 3 months ago. Just after Kendra would have been confirmed pregnant. And then I read the most important part. The beneficiary's name. Kendra Davis. And below it, a description, relationship, future spouse. My breath hitched. The air left my lungs. This was no longer a simple affair. This was no longer a secret wedding. This was no longer just about money. This was a murder plot. If I died, the $10 million would be paid to Kendra. The secret wedding was just to legitimize her claim. Chloe's pregnancy was the catalyst. Evelyn's words. "You can't even have children," suddenly took on a much more sinister meaning. It wasn't just an insult. It was a justification. A reason why I deserved to be replaced. Eliminated. I sank onto the cold, hard floor of my study. The pain of betrayal had now transformed into real, paralyzing fear, which in turn mutated into a white-hot, icy fury. They wanted to kill me. The man I loved, the man who slept in my bed, was planning my death with my stepsister. I would not give them the chance. With hands that were now shaking violently, I tucked that insurance policy into my purse. This was evidence. This was war. I got up. I grabbed a small duffel bag from the closet. I didn't bother collecting clothes or sentimental items. I took what mattered. My work laptop. All the asset documents. The insurance policy. My passport. My eyes landed on a framed photo on my desk. It was our wedding photo. Russell, smiling broadly. Me, looking so happy, so innocent, so full of love. I looked like a fool. I took the photo out of the frame. I stared at Russell's smiling face. This man wants me dead. With a quick, violent motion, I tore the photo in half. And again. And again. I threw the pieces into the wastebasket. I turned off the study light. Locked the safe. I left the house. I walked through the grand foyer, past the expensive art I'd curated. I didn't look back. I got in my car, closed the garage door from the outside, and drove away. That $15 million house was now just a crime scene. A property about to change hands. And I was no longer a betrayed wife. I was a woman fighting for her life. I didn't sleep a wink that night. How could I? I just sat in that luxurious, impersonal hotel room, the $10 million life insurance policy lying on the desk like a venomous snake. Every time my eyes drifted to that blue folder, any lingering doubt, any shred of sadness, just evaporated. It was replaced by a steely, cold determination. This wasn't a divorce. This was a criminal case. At 8 a.m. on the dot, my cell phone rang. It was Mr. Vance. Meredith, good news, he said, his voice all business. Mr. Harrison has agreed 100%. He'll meet us at my office at 10 a.m. He is bringing his notary and his legal team. He wants to close the deal today, as you requested. Yes, counselor. I'll be there at 10, I replied. My voice was calm. Composed. I prepared myself. I showered. I chose my best business suit. My armor. A fitted black jacket, an impeccable white silk blouse. I applied light makeup, just enough to hide the dark circles under my eyes. The woman in the mirror wasn't a victim. She was Director Vance. She was a negotiator. 5 minutes before 10, I arrived at Mr. Vance's office. Mr. Harrison, a burly man in his 50s with a no-nonsense look, was already there. He was accompanied by 2 lawyers and a notary. This was not a man who wasted time. The meeting was fast. Incredibly efficient. Mrs. Preston, Mr. Harrison said, his voice a low rumble. I regret that you're selling under hasty circumstances. But I won't beat around the bush. I've wanted a property on that specific street for a long time. Mr. Vance tells me you're in a hurry. So am I. I will not haggle. $15 million. I agree. My team has reviewed the legal documentation this morning. It's clean. It's all in your name. I will pay the total today via an immediate wire transfer, on the condition that we sign the purchase agreement before 2 p.m. so I can register the changes immediately. I nodded. Agreed, Mr. Harrison. I appreciate your efficiency. Let's proceed. For the next 2 hours, the room was filled with the sound of shuffling papers and quiet, legal discussions between the lawyers. I sat silently, reading every single clause. I was focused. At 1 p.m., all the documents were ready. In front of the notary, I signed the purchase agreement. My hand did not tremble. As the pen glided over the paper, I didn't feel loss. I felt lightness. I felt freedom. I had just gotten rid of a 10,000 square foot burden. A house full of false memories and, I now realized, evil plans. 30 minutes later, we were all at a private banking center. Mr. Harrison's team executed the $15 million transfer. I provided the number of the new account Mr. Vance had created just that morning. An account Russell Preston had no idea about. At 1:45 p.m., my cell phone buzzed. A message from the bank. Transaction successful. Deposit, $15 million. I showed the notification to Mr. Vance and Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison smiled, satisfied. "A pleasure doing business with you, Mrs. Vance," he said, shaking my hand. "My team will collect the keys this afternoon." "Of course," I said. I had already left the keys with Mr. Vance. I didn't care about the rest. The furniture, the clothes, the art, it was all tainted. After Mr. Harrison and his team left, I didn't leave the bank. I sat down with the private banking manager, with Mr. Vance by my side. "Now," I said, "I have a few more matters to attend to." First, I opened my mobile banking app. I logged into the joint account. The one I used to fill at the beginning of every month. It was the account for household expenses, bills, and Russell's allowance. There was still about $140,000 left in it. I hit the transfer button. I moved all of it, down to the last penny, into my new, private account. The joint account was now officially empty. Balance, $0. Second, I looked at the manager. "I am the primary cardholder on my main credit account," I said. "There are 2 supplementary cards under my name. Both are for Mr. Russell Preston. I need to cancel both of those supplementary cards. Permanently. Effective immediately." "May I ask the reason, ma'am?" the manager asked politely. "I've lost the cards," I replied curtly. "I'm concerned about misuse." The manager nodded, understanding. "Of course, ma'am. I will process that right now." 5 minutes later, he confirmed. "Done, ma'am." The 2 cards in Mr. Grant Sterling's, he fumbled the name. "Mr. Russell Preston's name are no longer active." "Perfect," I said. I felt a wave of relief. The house was sold. The money was safe. The credit cards were cut off. I returned to my hotel room that afternoon. For the first time in 2 days, I felt like I could breathe. I ordered a very expensive club sandwich from room service. I ate slowly, savoring it. I sat on the sofa, looking out at the LA skyline from my high-floor window. Phase 1 was complete. Then, my cell phone vibrated. A text message. From Russell. His profile picture was still one of us together, smiling on a beach in Hawaii. How ironic. The first message arrived. "Honey, where are you?" I called the house. No answer. I just stared at it. He was supposed to be in Seattle. Such an obvious, clumsy lie. A few seconds later, a second message. "Honey, this is weird. I tried to buy you a bag at the airport, and the card was rejected. The black card. There's still a lot of limit. Is there a problem with the bank? Buying me a bag?" I let out a small, cold, humorless laugh. He was buying a bag for Kendra. A sorry for this cheap, secret wedding gift, no doubt. I let the message sit there, unread, for 10 long minutes. Let him sweat. He wrote again. "Meredith? Did you read this? Why aren't you answering?" Seriously, the card was rejected. It was so embarrassing. Finally, I replied. My fingers danced over the screen. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, honey. I had to cancel the cards. There was some fraudulent activity. I lost them. His response was immediate. What? Well, can you fix it? I need it. We're about to board. I smiled. I typed my last message to that man. Just come home soon, darling. I've prepared a big surprise for you. A surprise for you, and for Kendra. I sent the message. And then, without waiting for a reply, I blocked his number. I blocked Evelyn Albright's number. I blocked his sister. I blocked them all. There would be no more communication. Only action. Phase 2 would begin tomorrow. Taking control of my company. And preparing the evidence for his arrest. The game had only just begun. The next day, Friday morning, I woke up in my hotel room with a clear head. The fear and the shock had been burned away overnight, leaving only a cold, hard resolve. I no longer felt like a victim. I was a strategist. I was planning a war. After a light breakfast, I got dressed. Today, I didn't wear the usual black power suit I used for client meetings. I wore something more comfortable, but still professional. Dark trousers, a silk blouse. I had to go to my other office. The subsidiary office. The one where Russell worked. The one many people didn't even know I owned. The company was called Vance and Associates Design Build. VAD. I had intentionally founded it 3 years ago. It was my mistake, my grand, foolish gesture of love. I had wanted my husband to feel proud, to feel successful, to not feel like he was living in the shadow of my success at my main firm, Vance Designs. I put Russell as the director of operations, gave him a huge salary and a corner office. I gave him a stage to play on. And he used it to stab me in the back. I intentionally did not put myself as CEO of that company. My name was on the registration documents as the majority shareholder, with 90% of the shares. But the person I named as CEO was Mr. Miller, a trusted man who had worked with my father for years. Mr. Miller handled the big picture administration, while Russell managed the daily operations. And the person responsible for finances was Mr. Chen, a veteran accountant, 100% loyal to me. I did not call Mr. Chen ahead of time. I decided to show up in person. Surprise was a key element. I walked into the lobby of the modern office building at 9 a.m. The young receptionist looked up, startled. "Good morning, can I help you? Do you have an appointment?" "I'm here to see Mr. Chen," I said. "Tell him it's Meredith." "Excuse me, Meredith, who?" I smiled slightly. "Just tell him it's Meredith Vance. And it's urgent. He'll understand." The receptionist, looking doubtful, made the call. A few seconds later, her eyes went wide. Yes, Mr. Chen. Right away." She hung up. "You can go straight up to the 5th floor. Mr. Chen will wait for you by the elevator." And so he was. When the elevator doors opened, Mr. Chen was standing there, looking pale and nervous. He was a meticulous man in his late 40s. "Mrs. Preston. I mean, Ms. Vance," he stammered. "What are you doing here? Has something happened?" "Something very serious has happened, Mr. Chen, and I need your help," I said as I walked past him toward his office. "Close your door. Now." Inside his neat, orderly office, I sat across from him. I didn't waste time. "Mr. Chen, I apologize for the unexpected visit. I need you to pull all of Mr. Russell Preston's financial data for the last 6 months. All his expenses, all his fund requests, all the invoices he has approved. Right now." Mr. Chen's face tightened. He knew this was no ordinary visit. "Yes, ma'am. Of course." He immediately turned to his computer. His fingers flew across the keyboard. Is there any specific type of expense you're looking for? All of them, I said. Travel expenses. Client entertainment. And especially, any payments to new vendors. Mr. Chen began opening the files. Here it is, ma'am. Mr. Preston has had quite a few trips. The trip to Seattle 3 days ago. Plane tickets, 5-star hotel, client representation expenses. One moment, I said. The trip to Seattle. I want to see the details. Mr. Chen opened the attachments. Indeed, plane tickets, hotel invoices, all paid by the company. I took out my cell phone. I opened my text message history. I showed the screen to Mr. Chen. Read this, please, I said. Mr. Chen read the text from a month ago. Honey, send me $2,000. I have an important trip to Seattle and the company budget is tight. I think I'll have to pay for it first. Then I showed him the proof of the $2,000 transfer from my personal account to Russell's. I made the transfer, I said coldly. And this, the company also paid for. What is this, Mr. Chen? Mr. Chen swallowed hard. This is double billing. This is embezzlement, Ms. Vance. This is just the beginning, I said. Keep looking. New vendors. Large, irregular payments. Mr. Chen scrolled down the screen. He stopped at a name. Here it is, ma'am. Sunshine Consulting LLC. Payments for design consulting services. The strange thing is, this only started in the last 6 months. But the payments are very large. Every month, Mr. Preston requested 2 transfers, each between $25,000 and $40,000. He did some quick math. My goodness. The total is already $450,000. Who is the owner of that company? I asked. Where are the work reports? Is there a contract? Mr. Chen looked confused. That's the problem, ma'am. Mr. Preston always said it was a special vendor, that he managed the contract directly. The payments were always requested suddenly, and he asked me to make the transfer immediately after he signed the approval. He said it was for a secret project. A secret project? I scoffed. I immediately called my lawyer, Mr. Vance. Counselor, I said, I need you to verify a company name. Sunshine Consulting LLC. I'm sending you the tax registration number now. I need the owner's name. Immediately. While waiting for Mr. Vance's call, I told Mr. Chen, look at entertainment expenses. Client entertainment. Mr. Chen opened Russell's corporate card data. The charges had skyrocketed. Luxury restaurants. Designer boutiques. And a jewelry store. Here it is, ma'am, Mr. Chen said, his voice quiet. Purchase of a diamond necklace. $5,000. The description says, gift for client X's wife. I laughed. A bitter, ugly laugh. I remembered that. 3 months ago. Russell came home complaining about how hard it was to win over client X. I never received a diamond necklace. My cell phone rang. It was Mr. Vance. I found the data, Meredith, he said. Sunshine Consulting LLC was registered 6 months ago. The address is a P.O. box. It's a shell company. And the owner, the sole director and owner, is a Ms. Kendra Davis. Kendra, I whispered. Correct, ma'am. Kendra Davis. The company's bank account is also in her name. I hung up. I looked at Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen, that $450,000 went to my husband's mistress's personal account. Mr. Chen was horrified. His face flushed with anger. He felt tricked. The audacity. He fooled me completely. You're not the only one, Mr. Chen, I said. Me, too. Now, let's do the math. $450,000 for Kendra. Double billing for trips, let's estimate $60,000 over the last 6 months. Personal purchases on the corporate card, that $5,000 necklace. The total is over $515,000. That's outright company fund embezzlement. I stood up. Mr. Chen. Print all of this. All the evidence. Proof of transfers, fake invoices from Sunshine Consulting, copies of the corporate card statements, and the company registration data in Kendra Davis's name. I want a complete, thick dossier. Yes, ma'am. I will prepare it immediately, Mr. Chen said, his movements agile. One more thing, I added. Does Ms. Kendra Davis work here? I had gotten her the job, but I wasn't sure if she was at this office or my main one. Mr. Chen nodded. Yes, ma'am. She's in the marketing department. She joined 6 months ago. She was personally hired by Mr. Preston. It fits perfectly, I said. Prepare termination letters for Mr. Russell Preston and Ms. Kendra Davis. Right now. The reason for termination will be disciplinary dismissal for company fund embezzlement and severe violation of company ethics. No severance. No benefits. Understood, Ms. Vance. You will have them on your desk before lunchtime. An hour later, I left that office. I did not return to the hotel. I went straight to Mr. Vance's office. In my hands, I carried a thick dossier with all the evidence. I handed it to him. Here it is, I said. The wrapping for the wedding gift is ready. Mr. Vance took the dossier and quickly skimmed through it. His eyes widened. This is incredible, Meredith. This isn't a civil case. This is a clear-cut criminal case. Misappropriation. Fraud. The penalties are severe. I know, I said. I don't just want a divorce, Mr. Vance. I want them prosecuted. I will make the calls, he said, his voice grim. We will have everything in place. Good, I said. Now we just have to wait for the mouse to come home. That night, I sent a brief message to the house's new owner, Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison, good evening. For your information, an unwanted guest is likely to show up at the house tomorrow. He does not know the house has been sold. Please instruct your new security staff not to let him in. He no longer has any rights. Mr. Harrison replied quickly. I'll take care of it, Ms. Vance. Don't you worry. I put down my cell phone. I had sold the house. Secured the $15 million. Blocked the credit cards. Emptied the joint account. And compiled evidence of a crime worth over $500,000. I also had a $10 million life insurance policy as proof of intent. The gift was wrapped. Now, I just had to wait for Russell and Kendra to come and pick it up. Saturday noon. The weather in Los Angeles was scorching. A taxi, a dirty yellow sedan, pulled up right in front of the imposing gates on Acacia Lane. The back door opened. Russell got out first, frowning and looking haggard. He slammed the taxi door shut. Kendra got out with difficulty, dragging a large, hot pink suitcase. Honey, it's so hot, she whined, her voice shrill. Why didn't the driver come pick us up? You said you had a personal driver. What kind of honeymoon is this? We come back and are greeted by this suffocating heat. Shut up, Kendra. Just, shut up, Russell snapped. My head hurts. He was in a very bad mood. The honeymoon, a 3-day trip to Cabo with Kendra, which he had told me was a business trip to Seattle, had turned into a disaster. The corporate card was rejected when he tried to pay for the hotel. His personal credit card, the one I always paid, was also rejected. He could barely pay with the cash he had left. They had to take a taxi from the airport. It was humiliating. And his wife, Meredith, was being strange. She'd sent him that cryptic message about a surprise, and then her number was unavailable. His mother's number, his sister's, all blocked. He snorted. It was just a fleeting anger. She'd get over it. He had already prepared his speech. I had no choice, Meredith. Kendra is pregnant. You have to understand. We can all live here together. He walked to the gate and took the remote control out of his pocket. He pressed the button. Click. No response. The gate remained firmly closed. He pressed it again. Harder. Click. 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 Nothing. The remote's broken, Russell cursed. He kicked the iron fence. Security! Open the gate! Lopez! Open up! Kendra shouted from the curb, fanning her face. Honey, why is it taking so long? I don't want to wait out here. People are looking at us. How embarrassing. Russell stalked to the security booth. But he was surprised. The man on duty wasn't Mr. Lopez, the sleepy guard he usually bossed around. This was a new man, sturdily built, with an expressionless face. Open the gate, Russell ordered, with his usual arrogant tone. The remote's broken. The new guard stood up. Excuse me, sir. Who are you looking for? Russell stared at him. Who am I looking for? This is my house. Are you new? Open the gate. I'm sorry, sir, the guard repeated, his voice firm. This house is owned by Mr. Harrison. The handover was completed yesterday. You are not on the visitor list. Russell's blood ran cold. Mr. Harrison? Who the hell is Mr. Harrison? This is my house. Russell Preston and Meredith Preston's house. Don't mess with me. I'm just following orders, sir, the guard said, unmoved. This house was sold by the previous owner, Ms. Meredith Vance. The owner is now Mr. Harrison. Please leave the premises before I have to call the police. Sold. Russell's voice went up an octave. Sold? Impossible. That's a lie. Meredith wouldn't sell this house without my permission. Honey. Hearing the commotion, Kendra immediately ran over, dropping her suitcase. What do you mean, sold? Honey, this is our house, right? You said it was your house. Russell was in a full-blown panic. He started hitting the fence with his fists. Meredith! Come out! Don't joke like this. Meredith! The main door of the imposing house opened. But it wasn't me who came out. A neat-looking man in a suit, probably an assistant, approached the gate. He looked at Russell and Kendra with cold, annoyed eyes. What is all this commotion? He asked. Who are you? Russell shouted. Where is my wife? Meredith. I am the assistant to Mr. Harrison, the new owner of this property, the man replied. Ms. Vance handed over the keys yesterday. The house is empty. Now, who are you? If you don't leave, I will call the police for disturbing the peace. It's a lie. This has to be a lie. Russell lost his mind, trying to climb the fence, but the guard immediately stopped him. Kendra collapsed onto the hot asphalt. Her makeup was running with the sweat and the tears that began to flow. Honey, is it really sold? Then where are we going to live? You lied to me, Russell. You said you were rich. You said I would live here like a queen. Shut up! Russell screamed, frustrated and humiliated. Just then, a minivan pulled up behind their taxi. The doors opened. Evelyn Albright, his sister, and several of Russell's, uncles got out. They had come with cheerful, triumphant faces. Their plan was to support Russell and Kendra. When I confronted them, they were going to pressure me into accepting Kendra as a second wife. But what they saw was chaos. A disheveled and angry Russell arguing with a guard. And Kendra, crying hysterically on the sidewalk next to an open suitcase. Russell! What's going on? Evelyn yelled as she ran toward him. Why are you outside? Why is Kendra crying in the street? Russell turned to his mother, his eyes bloodshot. Mom. The house. The house, it's been sold. What? Evelyn Albright screamed. Sold? Impossible. Who sold it? Meredith. Who else? Russell wailed. That woman sold the house behind our backs. Evelyn's face, which moments ago was triumphant, turned instantly pale. Sold? The $15 million house? How? Wasn't it in both your names? I don't know, Mom. I don't know. Russell punched the gate pillar with his fist. His hand hurt, but his heart, his pride, hurt much more. Now they were all on the street. A family of rich, entitled people, now looking like vagrants. Russell, Kendra, Evelyn, and all their relatives, staring blankly at the door of the luxurious house, now firmly closed to them. They had just lost their biggest asset. Kendra continued to sob. I don't know, honey. I like this house. You have to take responsibility. I'm pregnant with your child. I don't want to suffer. Shut up. Can't you be quiet? Evelyn yelled at Kendra. This is all your fault. If you hadn't gotten pregnant, Russell wouldn't have rushed this, and Meredith wouldn't have been so angry. Wow, now it's my fault? Kendra retorted, not caring about her image anymore. You were the one who supported this. You said Meredith couldn't have children. You said I was the ideal daughter-in-law. In the middle of the chaos, Russell slumped weakly onto the curb, next to Kendra. He held his head, which he felt was about to explode. It was over. The house was gone. He had no money. The credit cards were blocked. And he was stuck with a hysterical new wife and a mother who was blaming him. He didn't know, this was only the beginning of his nightmare. Hysteria is an understatement. It was a complete meltdown. Evelyn Albright, who had arrived ready for battle, was now just a crumpled woman on a hot curb, mumbling to herself. It's gone. Everything's gone. The $15 million house. Kendra, for her part, had gone from pathetic crying to pure, unadulterated fury. She got up and kicked Russell's suitcase. Scammer! You said you were rich. You said I would live like a queen. And what is this? We're thrown out on the street. You don't even have a home. You lied to me, Russell. Don't you dare shut up. Evelyn shrieked. She suddenly regained her strength, stood up, and pointed a bony finger at Kendra's face. This is all your fault, you shameless woman. If you hadn't seduced my son, Meredith wouldn't have been so angry. You brought this disgrace. Why is it my fault? Kendra screamed back. You were the most excited to marry me to Russell. You said Meredith was a cold-hearted witch who couldn't have children. You said I was the ideal daughter-in-law because I was fertile. And now you blame me? You're the same as him. A gold digger. You insolent. Kendra. Defend me. Kendra pulled at Russell's sleeve. But Russell didn't react. He was paralyzed, just staring at the closed gate. His mind was racing. Meredith had sold the house. That was a fact. He couldn't get in. He had to get them out of there. It was humiliating. He could see some of the neighbors' cars slowing down as they passed, the passengers looking curious. Money. He needed money. He had to take them to a hotel. Or Kendra's apartment. Yes, the apartment. At least there was a place to rest. But to get there, he needed money for a taxi. Russell checked his pockets. His wallet was thin. Only a few $50 bills. The rest of the cash, he'd spent it in Cabo before the card problems started. It was barely enough for a taxi, let alone a hotel. The credit cards were blocked. That meant Meredith had already taken action. But there was still the joint account. The household account. He remembered clearly, there was still $140,000 in there. Meredith wouldn't be so stupid as to drain a joint account. That was their money. With somewhat shaky hands, Russell pulled out his cell phone. He ignored Kendra and his mother, who were still screaming at each other. He opened his mobile banking app. He found the joint account icon. He entered the password. His heart was pounding. The application opened. He pressed balance inquiry. A number appeared on the screen. A number that made him feel nauseous. Available balance, $0. Completely empty. Down to the zero. No, impossible, Russell mumbled. He hit the refresh button. The result was the same. He logged out and logged back in. Still the same. 0. And then he remembered. Meredith had blocked his number. This wasn't a system error. This was intentional. Meredith had drained the account. A cold sweat beaded on his forehead. He quickly switched to his personal payroll account. The account where he received his director's salary. His salary. He still had his job. He was the director. He opened the app. Balance, $250. Only $250. The paycheck had just arrived last week, but he'd been spending freely in Cabo, thinking he could just use the corporate card. He was broke. No house. No money. Honey, Kendra shook him. Let's go to my apartment. The apartment you bought me. I don't want to be here. The apartment. Oh God. Russell remembered. He had bought Kendra a small studio apartment 6 months ago. But the money. He'd used company funds. Diverted money from a vendor. He was sure Meredith didn't know. Yes, he said hoarsely. The apartment. Let's go. He had to calm the situation. He opened the taxi app. Just as he was about to press the button, a motorcycle stopped in front of them. A delivery driver in a green jacket got off, carrying a large, very well-wrapped box. Silver metallic foil, with a large, elegant black satin ribbon. Excuse me, the driver said, reading the label. Package for Mr. Russell Preston and Ms. Kendra Davis? Russell, Kendra, and Evelyn all turned at the same time. They fell silent. Yes, that's me, Kendra replied hesitantly, stepping forward. Correct. Mr. Russell Preston and Ms. Kendra Davis. Address is 1 Acacia Lane. Please sign here. Russell signed, his hand numb. The driver handed him the large, heavy box and immediately drove away. Now, the three of them, along with the rest of the shocked family, were on the curb, looking at this luxurious gift box. What is it? His sister-in-law asked. Kendra saw a small card tied to the ribbon. She took it. It was written in very elegant calligraphy. My calligraphy. What does it contain? Evelyn asked suspiciously. It won't be garbage, will it? I don't think so, Mom, Russell said. But his heart was pounding. Kendra read the card aloud, her voice trembling. Congratulations on your wedding. Your first wedding gift. Open it. A gift. From me. After everything, this felt wrong. Maybe it's an apology. Kendra blurted out, her eyes suddenly shining. Maybe there's jewelry. Or a check. She realized she made a mistake selling the house and is giving us compensation. Open it, Evelyn ordered, her greed overcoming her suspicion. With still trembling hands, Russell placed the box on the suitcase. He pulled the black satin ribbon. It untied smoothly. He tore the expensive silver paper. Inside was a very sturdy black box. No brand. Just a simple, heavy black box. He lifted the lid. Inside was not what Kendra expected. No jewelry. No stacks of bills. No check. Inside, resting on a bed of black satin, were two thick, officially sealed white envelopes. The paper was rigid and expensive. The logo of the company where Russell worked, Vance & Associates Design Build, was printed in the upper left corner. One envelope said, to Mr. Russell Preston. The second envelope said, to Ms. Kendra Davis. Russell's breath caught. This wasn't a gift. This was official. They're just letters. Kendra shouted, disappointed. She immediately snatched the envelope with her name on it. What is this? Russell grabbed his envelope. His hands were stiff. He could feel the gaze of his entire family on him. He broke the seal. He pulled out the folded paper. It was on official company letterhead. Signed by Mr. Miller, the CEO. He read it. His eyes moved quickly. Subject, Notice of Disciplinary Termination. Attention, Russell Preston, Director of Operations. Following the results of an internal audit and in consideration of a serious violation of ethics and immoral conduct that damages the company's honor. Russell felt his heart shrink. With the issue date of this notification, the company officially notifies the termination of the employment relationship with Mr. Russell Preston by disciplinary dismissal. He is not entitled to severance pay, final settlement, or any company benefits. All company assets, including the company vehicle, must be returned within 24 hours. Fired! That voice wasn't Russell's. It was Kendra's sharp, piercing cry. She had also finished reading her letter. The content was similar. Disciplinary dismissal. The reason, violation of company ethics, an inappropriate relationship with a superior, and involvement in a conspiracy that harmed the company. I've been fired, Russell. I've been fired. Kendra shook him, the letter fluttering from her hands onto the hot asphalt. Russell himself couldn't speak. He had been fired. From the company he ran. How? Evelyn wailed. She snatched the letter from Russell's hand, reading it quickly. Disciplinary dismissal? How? Russell, you're the director there. You're important. Russell didn't answer. He looked with empty, dead eyes inside the black box. His eyes caught something else. Beneath the satin fabric, there was another card. A small, ivory card. Smaller than the greeting card. He extended a trembling hand and picked it up. Again, my calligraphy. Sharp, determined, cold. He read it in his mind first. Oh, and by the way, Russell, that company is mine. I own 90% of the shares. Mr. Miller was just following my orders. You just got fired from my property. Russell staggered. He leaned on the cold pillar of the gate. The pillar of a house that was no longer his. The company. Mine. 90%. He knew I'd invested. He knew I'd founded it. But I never interfered. I gave him freedom. He thought I was a passive, foolish investor. He thought the company was his to control. He was wrong. Terribly wrong. He was just an employee. An employee who had just been fired. Russell? What does it mean? Evelyn clearly saw the change in his expression. Russell couldn't take it anymore. He read the sentence on the card aloud. His voice trembled, a mixture of rage and immense, bottomless fear. Oh, and by the way, Russell, that company is mine. I own 90% of the shares. You just got fired from my property. For 5 seconds, there was complete, utter silence on that curb. Even Kendra stopped crying. And then, Russell continued reading the last line of the card. But don't worry. The real main gift hasn't arrived yet. Thud. That was the sound of Evelyn Albright's body hitting the sidewalk. She had fainted. Eyes closed, face pale as a corpse. His sister-in-law and uncles panicked. Mom! Mom, wake up! Kendra didn't care about her mother-in-law. She looked at Russell with terrified eyes. It's hers. The company is hers? So then, your salary, your car, everything, it all came from her? Russell didn't respond. He just crumpled the card in his hand. You never had anything. Kendra yelled again, her voice now broken. You were poor. You're jobless. You're homeless. You're a scammer, Russell. Kendra pulled at her hair like a madwoman, sobbing. She had bet everything on this man. She was pregnant. And now she knew. The man had nothing. She was fired. She had no compensation. She was trapped. The main gift hasn't arrived yet, Russell whispered to himself. The phrase just echoed in his head. He saw his mother, passed out on the asphalt. He saw his hysterical new wife. He saw the rest of his family, looking at him with confusion and fear. The $15 million house was gone. The $140,000 from the joint account was gone. The credit cards were blocked. The job, with its huge salary, was gone. The sports car would be reclaimed. He had been fired for disciplinary reasons. And Meredith. Meredith said the main gift had not yet arrived. A pure, cold terror ran down his spine. What else was left? What could possibly be worse than this? The chaos on the sidewalk reached its peak. Mrs. Albright, who had regained consciousness, was just sitting on the hot curb, slumped over. Her face was pale, and she was just mumbling. It's gone. Everything is gone. The $15 million house, gone. Kendra, for her part, had moved from hysterical crying to a desperate, ugly wail. Her hair, once perfectly styled, was a mess. Her makeup was completely smudged, revealing a swollen, hateful face. She was hitting Russell's chest with her fists. Scammer! Scammer! You said you would give me a good life. You said I would be a lady. It turns out you're poor. You have nothing. I'm pregnant, Russell. I'm pregnant. What are we going to do now? Russell himself was like a statue. His mind was blank. The words on that small card. That company is mine, and the main gift hasn't arrived yet. They just repeated in his head like a broken record. He had lost everything. House, money, job, car, pride. All in a matter of hours. He had miscalculated. He had underestimated me. He thought I was a submissive, foolish, docile woman who would just accept her fate. He never imagined I was the one quietly controlling his entire life. The main gift hasn't arrived yet, he whispered again. What else could it be? What could possibly be worse than being completely ruined in front of his whole family? As if answering his question, we all heard it. The sound of a siren in the distance. It wasn't an ambulance for his mother. The sound was different. 2 police patrol cars, blue and white, turned onto Acacia Lane. They slowed down in front of their small, pathetic group. The silent spinning lights added a surreal, dreamlike quality to the hot afternoon. The doors of the cars opened. 4 uniformed officers got out. Russell's whole family, including Kendra, instantly fell silent. The officers scanned the group. One, a tall, imposing veteran, looked at Russell, then at Kendra. He seemed to be comparing their faces with a photo in the dossier held by his partner. Good afternoon, the veteran officer said. His voice was deep. Firm. Are you Russell Preston? And are you Kendra Davis? Russell swallowed hard. His tongue felt stuck. Yes. Yes, I am. I am Russell Preston. What's going on? Yes. Kendra grabbed Russell's arm. Her body was trembling violently. Honey, why are the police here? She whispered, terrified. The officer ignored her. He continued. Mr. Preston, Ms. Davis. We have received a formal complaint and strong initial evidence of company fund embezzlement and fraud. Russell's heart seemed to drop into his stomach. Embezzlement? Officer, you have the wrong person. He tried to laugh, but a strange, broken sound came out. This has to be a misunderstanding. I am the director of my company. It's impossible. The charges are specific, sir, the younger officer said, opening the dossier. You are accused of embezzling $515,000 from Vance & Associates Design Build through a shell company called Sunshine Consulting LLC, as well as double-billing travel expenses and abusing the corporate card for personal gain. Russell went pale. The amount was exact. The company name was mentioned. This is slander, he shouted, his voice sharp with panic. It must be a false report. It's my wife's doing. She's trying to set me up. You can explain all of that at the station, the veteran officer said curtly. Right now, both of you need to accompany us for further investigation. No! Kendra shrieked. I don't want to go. I'm pregnant, officer. I didn't know anything. I just signed what Russell told me to. He handled everything. I'm a victim. Kendra, shut up. Russell snapped. Just then, another car, a black luxury sedan, pulled up gently behind the police cars. The back door opened. And I stepped out. I was wearing a cream-colored silk suit. I had my large, black sunglasses on. I looked calm. Cold. Dignified. I was not alone. Behind me stepped up my lawyer, Mr. Vance, carrying a small briefcase. Russell stared at me, his eyes wide with horror and rage. Meredith, he screamed. You reported me. How could you? Are you going to send your own husband to jail? I slowly walked toward them. I stopped in front of the officers. I took off my sunglasses, revealing my clear, icy eyes. I looked right at Russell. Husband? I said. My voice was clear and loud enough for everyone to hear. Which husband? The husband who held a secret wedding with my stepsister? The husband who paid for that illegal wedding with stolen money? Or the husband who planned to murder his wife for a $10 million insurance policy? Each word was a blow. Russell froze. Mrs. Albright, who was still on the curb, gasped when she heard $10 million insurance policy. I was no longer looking at Russell. I addressed the veteran officer. Good afternoon, Inspector. I am Meredith Vance. I am the 90% shareholder of Vance and Associates Design Build. I am the complainant. Mr. Vance stepped forward and handed the briefcase to the officer. Inspector. Inside here is all the complete evidence. Proof of transfers to the Sunshine account. The company registration in Ms. Davis's name. The fake invoices signed by Mr. Preston. Evidence of the double billing. And copies of the corporate card statements. We have audited everything. The officer took the briefcase and opened it. He saw the neat stacks of documents. He nodded. This is more than enough. Take them away. No! Russell struggled. He realized it was the end. Meredith! Don't do this. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Meredith, give me a chance. Don't send me to jail. A chance? I laughed. A cold, humorless laugh. Your chance ended, Russell. It ended when you cheated on me. It ended when you conspired with your mother. And it ended, definitively, when you signed that life insurance policy in my name. I then looked at Kendra, who was now just crying silently, her body trembling. And you, Ms. Kendra Davis. You enjoyed the stolen money. You set up a shell company in your name. And you became the beneficiary of a $10 million insurance policy. Your pregnancy will not save you from justice. The other two officers advanced. One grabbed Russell's arm, the other, Kendra's. Let go of me. Russell resisted. His fear had now turned into blind rage. He broke free from the officer's grasp and lunged at me. This is all your fault, you. His movement was fast. But the police were faster. Before he could even get close, he was subdued. His arms were twisted behind his back. Mr. Vance quickly pulled me away. Restrain him, the veteran officer shouted. I'll kill her. Let go of me. I'll kill her. Russell screamed, his face red, spittle flying from his mouth. An officer pulled out handcuffs. Click. Russell's hands were now cuffed behind his back. I looked at my now helpless ex-husband. My face remained calm. I said to the officer, Inspector, please note it down. A direct death threat, in front of multiple witnesses. It supports my other complaint about the insurance policy. Yes, ma'am. Noted, the officer said, motioning for Russell to be taken to the car. Meredith! Russell continued to shout, his voice now full of desperation as he was dragged to the police car. I regret it. Meredith, I swear I love you. Let me go! Mom! Mom, help me! Evelyn Albright just watched in shock. Her son. Her pride. Handcuffed. A criminal. Thud. Kendra, seeing Russell handcuffed and realizing her fate, finally fainted. Her body just slumped onto the curb. Inspector, Russell's sister-in-law cried out. She's pregnant. There are medical staff at the station, the veteran officer said, without a trace of compassion. A waiting female officer quickly helped move the unconscious Kendra into the second police car. The doors of the two patrol cars closed. The sirens turned on again. They slowly drove away down Acacia Lane, taking a screaming Russell and a passed-out Kendra. I stood there, still. And I let out a long, long sigh. The main gift had been delivered. Evelyn Albright, with what little strength she had left, crawled on the asphalt toward me. She looked up, her eyes full of a deep, burning hatred. You are a viper, she spat. You ruined my son. You ruined our family. You will rot in hell for this. I looked at my ex-mother-in-law for the last time. You ruined your son yourself, Evelyn, I said, my voice quiet but firm. You ruined him when you supported his greed. When you justified his betrayal. When you celebrated with him over my pain. You reap what you sow. I turned. I put my sunglasses back on. I got into my luxury car. Mr. Vance followed me. The car drove away in silence, leaving Evelyn Albright screaming on the hot curb, and the rest of the family plunged into shame and despair. The game was over. I had won. The legal process was swift. The evidence I had, the evidence Mr. Chen and Mr. Vance prepared, was too solid to be refuted. The digital trail, the flow of funds, it was all there. The $515,000 embezzlement was proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Russell, of course, tried to shirk responsibility. He blamed Kendra. He said he was framed. He claimed she seduced him and managed the shell company's finances. But his signature was on every fake invoice. Kendra, for her part, tried to use her pregnancy to gain sympathy. She claimed she was a victim, coerced by Russell to sign documents she didn't understand. But the bank account, with hundreds of thousands of dollars, was in her name. And she was proven to have withdrawn money from it for luxury shopping trips. After a tedious trial, the judge delivered his verdict. Russell Preston was found guilty as the principal perpetrator of misappropriation, fraud, and conspiracy. The death threat and the $10 million life insurance policy were aggravating factors. The judge called him a man with premeditated malice. He was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Kendra was also found guilty. Her role as an accomplice who enjoyed the benefits of the crime was proven. She was sentenced to 7 years. Her pregnancy did not exempt her. It only ensured that she would give birth in a prison medical facility. The karma didn't stop there. Evelyn Albright was the most miserable. Her only son, her pride, was an inmate. She lost her main source of income. The relatives who used to flatter her now avoided her. To pay the expensive lawyer fees for Russell, she had to sell her own house. She sold it at a very low price, just to get the cash. Within a year, she was ruined. I heard she was living in a tiny rented room, living off Social Security, alone, full of regret and hatred. Kendra gave birth to a son in the prison hospital. According to procedure, the baby was taken by social services. Even her own family, and my father, they refused to care for him. They were ashamed. Her dream of a life of wealth ended behind bars, separated from her child, and penniless. And my father, he never spoke to me again after that day. He said I had destroyed his family. He chose his side. I officially divorced Russell while he was under investigation. The court accepted my petition very easily. With the $15 million from the house sale, plus all my other assets, I began a new life. I sold Vance and Associates Design Build. I couldn't stand to be linked to it. Mr. Miller and the other investors bought out my shares. I took my money, my freedom, and I left Los Angeles. I moved up the coast. I bought a small, beautiful house overlooking the ocean. I spent the first year just breathing. Walking on the beach. I read books. I learned to cook. I learned to sleep through the night again. But I knew my survival had to mean something. My pain had to be for a reason. 2 years later, I was standing on a stage, in the ballroom of a hotel. I was elegant, and I was, for the first time in a long time, truly happy. I was speaking to hundreds of guests at the official launch of the Vance Light Foundation. Betrayal is a poison, I said to the crowd. It can kill you from the inside out. But it can also be the antidote. It can force you to see your own worth. Today, I am not here as a victim. I am here as a survivor who chose to transform that poison into strength. The applause was thunderous. The Vanslight Foundation is a non-profit I founded, financed entirely by my own wealth. Its purpose is to provide legal support, protection, and financial independence training to women who are victims of domestic violence and financial fraud. We help them get the divorce, secure custody of their children, and build a new life. After the event, my former colleague, Valerie, who is now my foundation's director, approached me with a tablet. "Meredith, the event was a huge success. Many sponsors have signed up." She paused. "Oh, and there was a small piece of news earlier." "What news?" I asked, accepting a cup of tea. "Mrs. Albright," she said, "has been evicted for non-payment of rent. I heard she's now living with distant relatives, treated as a servant." She added, "And Ms. Davis, her request for parole has been rejected." The judge considered that she still shows no signs of remorse. I was silent for a moment. I looked out the window, at the sun setting over the ocean. I didn't feel satisfaction. I didn't feel pity. I just felt neutral. The universe had followed its own course. Everyone had reaped what they had sowed. "Understood," I finally said, turning away from the window and smiling at Valerie. "Don't worry about that news. We still have a lot of work to do. Schedule a meeting with the legal team. We have a new client who needs our help." I left the ballroom, surrounded by people who admired me. I had lost a traitorous husband and a venomous stepsister. But I had found myself. I was free, I was wealthy, and most importantly, I had transformed my scars into a light for others. And that, for me, was the best karma, and the most satisfying ending. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. If you or anyone you know is going through something similar, please know, you are not alone. And there is always a way out. Please, share your own stories of strength in the comments. Let's support each other.